SpaceX's Google deal changes everything. The AI race is moving into orbit. Why SpaceX's latest Google agreement could be bigger than rockets. For years, most people viewed SpaceX through a relatively simple lens. It was the company building reusable rockets, launching satellites, expanding Starlink, and pursuing Elon Musk's long-term ambition of making humanity multi-planetary, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. That narrative is now evolving. A newly disclosed agreement gives Google access to substantial computing capacity from SpaceX infrastructure, highlighting how aggressively the company is moving into the AI ecosystem. Public filings indicate the arrangement involves access to approximately 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs and could generate billions of dollars in future revenue. The significance is not merely financial. It signals that SpaceX increasingly sees itself as an infrastructure company operating at the intersection of space, connectivity, artificial intelligence, and large-scale computing. That is a very different investment story from the one many retail investors grew up with. The real battle is compute power. The AI boom has created a problem few predicted would emerge this quickly: a shortage of computing power. Every major technology company is now competing for access to advanced chips, energy capacity, data center space, and cloud infrastructure. AI models are becoming larger, more expensive, and more demanding with every generation. In that environment, computing capacity has become a strategic asset. Access to GPUs increasingly resembles access to oil fields during an energy boom. Companies that control the infrastructure can potentially benefit regardless of which AI model ultimately wins. The Google agreement appears to strengthen SpaceX's position inside that ecosystem. Rather than being a customer of AI infrastructure, the company is increasingly becoming a supplier. That distinction matters because infrastructure businesses often become some of the most valuable companies in the world. The biggest fortunes are frequently built not by participating in a gold rush, but by supplying the tools needed to sustain it. Why investors are paying attention? SpaceX was already expected to attract extraordinary retail investor interest because of Elon Musk, Starlink, and the company's dominant position in commercial spaceflight. The AI angle potentially expands that audience dramatically. Investors who previously viewed SpaceX as a space company can now plausibly see exposure to multiple growth narratives at once. Those narratives include satellite broadband, launch services, AI infrastructure, advanced computing, defense-adjacent technologies, and long-term space-based industrial development. This helps explain why anticipation surrounding a public listing remains so intense. Reports suggest the company is targeting what could become one of the largest IPOs in financial history. The more growth stories investors can attach to a company, the larger the potential pool of capital interested in owning it. Whether those expectations ultimately prove justified is another question entirely. The AI and space connection is becoming harder to ignore. A decade ago, the idea that artificial intelligence and space infrastructure would become closely linked might have sounded speculative. Today, it looks increasingly plausible. Satellite networks generate vast amounts of data. Global connectivity enables AI services to reach remote regions. Space-based communications support military, commercial, and scientific applications. Future concepts involving orbital computing infrastructure are already being discussed within the industry. The broader pattern is becoming clear. The companies building tomorrow's digital infrastructure may need to think beyond terrestrial limitations. Power availability, cooling requirements, physical space constraints, and global connectivity challenges are all pushing technology firms toward increasingly ambitious solutions. SpaceX happens to sit at the center of many of those conversations. That does not guarantee success. It does explain why investors are paying close attention. The biggest opportunity may still be ahead. The most interesting aspect of this story is that the Google agreement is not necessarily important because of what it is. It may be important because of what it suggests. When major technology firms commit significant resources to long-term computing agreements, they are making a statement about future demand. They are effectively betting that AI usage will continue expanding and that infrastructure shortages will remain a critical challenge. If that assumption proves correct, companies controlling launch capacity, satellites, networking infrastructure, and computing resources could find themselves in extraordinarily powerful positions. That possibility helps explain why so much attention is now focused on the convergence of AI and space technology. The story is no longer just about rockets reaching orbit. It is about who owns the infrastructure powering the next era of human technology. Why this matters beyond Wall Street. The deeper significance of the agreement extends beyond investors and stock markets. Artificial intelligence is rapidly becoming a foundational technology that influences productivity, healthcare, defense, education, communications, entertainment, and scientific research. The companies controlling the infrastructure behind that transformation may shape how entire industries evolve over the next decade. SpaceX's latest move reinforces an emerging reality. Future technological power may depend as much on infrastructure ownership as software innovation. The companies building the pipes, cables, satellites, chips, networks, and computing clusters may ultimately wield as much influence as the companies building the AI models themselves. That is why this agreement matters. On the surface, it is a cloud computing contract. Underneath, it looks like another sign that the boundaries between artificial intelligence, global infrastructure, and space technology are rapidly disappearing.